Welcome to District Command Central, your go-to source for the latest news and updates on the Washington Commanders. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss a play. Is Brian Robinson Jr. underrated? That's the question buzzing around Washington as the Commanders gear up for a season full of new possibilities and new pressures. The 26-year-old running back is stepping into a pivotal year, not just for the team, but for his career. Entering the fourth and final year of his rookie deal, this is the season where legacies begin or stall. Last year, Robinson delivered his best performance yet, rushing for 799 yards and scoring 8 touchdowns. Solid numbers, sure, but are they enough to convince everyone he's a true RB1 in this league? Apparently not. NFL Network analyst and former Pro Bowl running back Morris Jones-Drew recently released his rankings of all 32 starting backs, and he slotted Robinson in at a modest number 21. Respectable, maybe, but not inspiring, especially when you consider the company behind him. Names like Travis Etienne, Isaiah Pacheco, and Tony Pollard. So what gives? Why isn't Robinson getting more love? Morris Jones-Drew's rankings have stirred plenty of debate, and understandably so. Robinson sits in that murky middle ground of the league's running backs, above some, but far from elite in the eyes of critics. But should he really be ranked below Travis Etienne, a player who's been wildly inconsistent? Below Pacheco, who shares carries in a pass-heavy offense? Even Tony Pollard, who struggled to live up to the hype last year, lands behind Robinson. What Robinson lacks in flash, he makes up for in grit and reliability. He's the kind of player who keeps his head down and gets the hard yards, the kind of back who wears the fences down in the fourth quarter. And let's not forget, this Commanders offense is undergoing a transformation. With new offensive coordinator Cliff Kingsbury at the helm and improvements along the offensive line, Robinson could find more running lanes than ever before. That, 21 ranking might not age well by season's end. Let's dig into the context that might be coloring these rankings. Robinson is part of a crowded backfield, no doubt. Austin Ekeler, who arrived via free agency, brings name recognition and pass-catching prowess. Chris Rodriguez Jr. and Jeremy McNichols offer depth. And there's even talk of Deebo Samuel taking snaps out of the backfield. With all these mouths to feed, some analysts wonder whether Robinson will see enough volume to truly break out. But that might be exactly why he's underrated. In a room full of dynamic options, Robinson is still expected to lead the charge. That says something. It shows that Kingsbury and the Commanders staff trust him to be the tone setter, the one who carries the rock when the game's on the line. If he can thrive amidst that competition, it won't just elevate his numbers, it'll elevate his reputation league-wide. Sometimes being underrated is just another way of saying people haven't been paying close enough attention, and paying attention is exactly what Commanders fans will be doing when training camp kicks off on July 27. Robinson will report with more on the line than ever before. This isn't just about climbing the rankings or earning respect. This is a contract year. A good season could mean a lucrative extension or a starting job elsewhere if Washington decides to move on. A mediocre showing? That might relegate him to backup duties in a league where the shelf life for running backs is brutally short. Robinson knows the stakes. He's a tough physical runner with something to prove, not just to Jones-Drew or the fans, but to every front office executive watching. You want a motivated athlete? Look no further. This season could define Robinson's future in the NFL. And based on the offseason buzz, he's preparing like a man who knows it. What's encouraging is that Robinson appears to have the full support of Cliff Kingsbury. The former Cardinals head coach, now engineering the Commanders' offense, has reportedly been impressed with Robinson's offseason work. Kingsbury's scheme is known for spreading defenses out and creating running lanes through spacing and tempo. That could be a dream fit for a back like Robinson, who's at his best when he's able to plant and go downhill. The Commanders' offensive line is also seeing key upgrades, another sign that this could be a breakout year for the fourth-year pro. If Robinson can stay healthy and consistent, there's every reason to believe he can blow past last year's 799 rushing yards. And if that happens, his name won't be floating around number 21 on some analyst's list. It'll be in the conversation for top 10, where talent meets production and narrative finally catches up. There's also the underrated aspect of Robinson's story that adds to his appeal, his resilience. This is a guy who, in his rookie season, came back from a gunshot wound just to get back on the field. Not many players in the league have faced that kind of adversity, and even fewer have returned with the kind of determination Robinson showed. That kind of toughness doesn't always show up in highlight reels, but it matters in locker rooms and huddles. It breeds trust, and trust is exactly what Robinson has earned from his coaches and teammates. The NFL is a league where every player has talent, but not every player has grit. Robinson has both. That's what makes him dangerous in 2025, not just to defenses, but to anyone still sleeping on what he's capable of becoming this year. Then there's the role of narrative. The NFL is a league built on stories, and right now Robinson's is flying under the radar. He's not a flashy, high-profile back with a massive social media following or a signature touchdown dance. He's not playing for a Super Bowl favorite, and he doesn't have a long list of Pro Bowl accolades yet. But those kinds of players often become the darlings of the league when they finally break out. If Robinson can string together some big performances early in the season, particularly against marquee opponents, the narrative will shift in his favor fast. Suddenly, he's not just a reliable runner. He's the engine of a revitalized Washington offense. He's the guy that fantasy owners want, that analysts start hyping, that other teams start circling on their scouting reports. All it takes is one big game to change the story. Robinson just needs the stage. Of course, there are still questions. Can Robinson hold up for a full 17-game slate? Can he improve his vision and decision-making to become more explosive on chunk plays? Will he carve out a role in the passing game with Eckler in town? Or will he be limited to early downs? These are the challenges that come with being a starting back in today's NFL. It's not just about running anymore. It's about doing everything. If Robinson can take that next step and become more well-rounded, it could change his entire trajectory. He has the tools. He's got the size, the strength, the motor. What he needs now is refinement and opportunity. Kingsbury's offense might be the perfect environment to grow into that next phase of his career. And if he gets there, people will start looking at that number 21 ranking and shaking their heads in disbelief. Let's not forget the context of the league around him either. The running back market is as volatile as it's ever been. Teams are getting stingy with second contracts, even for backs who've produced at high levels. That means Robinson has to not only prove he's worthy of starting, he has to prove he's worth paying. That's a steep hill to climb, but it's one he seems ready to scale. He's already shown he can overcome adversity. Now it's about showing he can elevate, dominate, and sustain. That's how you move up the rankings. That's how you turn skepticism into belief. And that's how you go from underrated to undeniable. If he can deliver in 2025, this won't be the last time we're talking about Brian Robinson Jr. It'll be the beginning of a whole new chapter in his story. So is Brian Robinson Jr. underrated? At this moment, yes, but that's not a knock. It's an opportunity. Rankings don't define players, performances do, and Robinson has a chance this season to define himself on his own terms. The pieces are in place. A fresh offensive system, a healthier line, and a chip on his shoulder the size of FedEx Field. He doesn't need to be the flashiest or the most hyped. He just needs to be consistent, reliable, and explosive when it counts. If he does that, he won't just climb the charts. He'll force the NFL world to reckon with what they missed. Because when you sleep on a player like Brian Robinson Jr., you run the risk of being wide awake when he runs right through your defense. And by then, it'll be too late to revise the rankings. If you're enjoying the coverage, make sure to smash that like button and drop a comment with your thoughts on the Commanders' latest moves. We want to hear from you. There's a storm brewing in the NFL world, and it's centered around Washington. Imagine this. Jason KELCE, yes, that Jason KELCE, the heart and soul of the Philadelphia Eagles offensive line for over a decade, is reportedly considering an NFL comeback. And not just any comeback. Rumors are swirling that he might be ready to ditch retirement and suit up once again. But this time in the colors of a division rival. That's right, the legendary center could be donning the burgundy and gold of The Washington Commanders. Sources close to league insiders say KELCE has been spotted training intensely, and there's growing speculation that the fire still burns inside him. He retired with grace, left the Eagles as a hero, and was seemingly content with life beyond football. But now, murmurs suggest that Washington has reached out with a serious offer, and KELCE is more than just listening. He's reportedly intrigued. Very intrigued. The idea of KELCE leaving retirement wasn't even on the radar a few weeks ago. But then came whispers from inside the Commanders' camp. Low profile at first, easily dismissed. They began as offhand comments from training staff about an elite-level veteran possibly joining the offensive line. Next came the social media sleuths, noting that KELCE had been unusually active around football circles again. Appearances at training camps, meetings with players, and even a sighting near Washington's practice facility raised eyebrows. Add to that KELCE's own cryptic posts about unfinished business and missing the war in the trenches, and suddenly the puzzle pieces start aligning. This isn't just a case of a legend wanting one more dance. It looks like the Commanders are aggressively trying to bring him into the fold. And with their offensive line needing leadership and experience, this might be the perfect match, even if it shocks the NFC East to its core. Jason KELCE in burgundy and gold? It sounds like NFL fan fiction, but the connections are impossible to ignore. The Commanders recently revamped their front office and coaching staff, and the new regime seems hungry for immediate credibility and veteran leadership. Who better than KELCE to anchor the offensive line and instantly elevate the locker room culture? He's respected league-wide, adored by fans, and universally seen as one of the smartest minds to ever play center. The team has been lacking that sort of presence in the trenches for years. If Washington really is serious about competing now, not rebuilding, not tanking, but competing, then swinging for the fences with KELCE makes more sense than people realize. And let's be honest, Washington landing a recently retired icon would send shockwaves across the league. If this is a play for attention, it's working. But if it's real, the Commanders might have just pulled off the offseason's most outrageous move. There's also an emotional angle to consider. KELCE left the Eagles on good terms, a fan favorite forever in Philly. But players, even the great ones, often feel that itch they just can't scratch, especially when the right opportunity comes knocking. The Commanders aren't just any team. They're a rival, yes, but also a franchise trying to rewrite its story. For KELCE, the challenge of leading a new locker room, guiding a young quarterback, and proving he still has gas in the tank could be irresistible. It's not about money. He's made plenty. It's about legacy. Could KELCE be the missing piece? That brings Washington back to playoff relevancy. That's the narrative building steam in sports bars, group chats, and NFL Reddit threads. Some fans are calling it betrayal. Others are calling it brilliant. Whatever side you're on, one thing's certain. The NFL world is watching every move Jason KELCE makes right now. Insiders say the deal, if finalized, won't be just symbolic. The Commanders allegedly want KELCE as a starting center, not some ceremonial locker room presence. This isn't a farewell tour, it's a warpath march. The front office believes the team is closer to contending than most think, especially with a few key veteran additions. And KELCE, despite being retired just months ago, is said to be in phenomenal shape. Training videos have surfaced of him, pushing sleds, running drills, and mentoring young linemen in private sessions. Is this all just coincidence? Or are we watching the careful orchestration of one of the boldest NFL returns in years? One league source put it bluntly, don't be shocked if you see KELCE in pads this August, and don't be surprised if he's snapping the ball week 1. For Washington fans, that's not just hope, it's a heartbeat. And then there's the NFC East dynamic. If KELCE truly joins the Commanders, the narrative writes itself. A former Eagle legend now standing on the other side of the line of scrimmage, staring down his old team twice a year. The storylines would be delicious. It's not betrayal, it's theater. And you better believe the NFL would eat it up. Primetime games, national attention, and a rivalry renewed with even more heat. Jason KELCE facing the Eagles in a Washington uniform would be must-see TV. Add to that the inevitable emotional interviews, the behind-the-scenes documentaries, and the social media explosion. And suddenly this rumor becomes a full-blown NFL spectacle. Washington knows this. They've been looking for a marquee narrative, Bringing KELCE out of retirement would deliver that in spades. It's bold, it's risky, but it's exactly the kind of move that can change the trajectory of a franchise overnight. Some skeptics say this is all smoke, that KELCE is just entertaining offers to stay relevant. Maybe build buzz for a podcast or media project. After all, he's been thriving in retirement with a growing presence in sports media and plenty of post-career opportunities. But the tone lately has shifted. People close to KELCE describe a restlessness, a competitive fire that hasn't gone out. He's reportedly told friends that the itch is real and that he misses the grind. That doesn't sound like a man content with watching from the sidelines. That sounds like someone gearing up for one last battle. And if the Commanders are offering not just a roster spot, but a starting role and leadership position, that might be the perfect cocktail to lure him back. Remember, KELCE has always marched to his own beat. If he thinks he can still dominate and help a team rewrite its history, he just might do it. What's most intriguing is the level of silence coming from both KELCE's camp and the Commanders' front office. No denials, no confirmations. Just vague responses and carefully worded statements like Jason is exploring all his options. And we're always open to adding strong character guys. In the NFL world, that kind of ambiguity is deafening. It's a strategic quiet that suggests negotiations are happening behind closed doors. The timing also lines up. Training camp is around the corner. Roster evaluations are in full swing. And Washington has both cap space and a need for someone exactly like KELCE. If there's any truth to these whispers, we could be days away from an official announcement that would shake the NFL landscape. Fans should stay alert, because this might not just be a rumor, it might be the beginning of a comeback story for the ages. And let's not overlook the effect this would have on Washington's locker room. Bringing in Jason KELCE wouldn't just boost the O-line. It would send a message to every player on that roster, a message that the team is serious, that leadership matters, that winning is a priority. Younger players would benefit immensely from KELCE's mentorship, while veterans would rally around a proven warrior. It's the kind of cultural shift teams dream of. One player changing everything, not just with his talent, but with his presence. And KELCE, for all his accolades, has always been known as the ultimate teammate. If Washington is truly intent on turning a new page, adding a future Hall of Famer with unmatched credibility could be the spark. Whether this becomes reality or fades into off-season fantasy remains to be seen. But right now, this rumor has legs, and it's sprinting towards something big. Of course, nothing is official. Until pens hit paper and press conferences are scheduled, this remains a possibility, not a certainty. But what makes this story so fascinating is how possible it feels. KELCE has nothing left to prove, yet maybe that's exactly why he's considering this. The challenge, the shock factor, the shot at rewriting a division rivalry and leading a team out of obscurity. Washington might be a strange fit on the surface, but dig deeper, and it starts to make sense. For KELCE, this wouldn't be about revenge or disrespect. It would be about passion, purpose, football. And if he really does suit up in burgundy and gold this fall, it won't just be a football move. It'll be a seismic shift in the NFL's power balance. So keep your eyes open, because if Jason KELCE comes out of retirement for Washington, it won't just be news, it'll be history in the making. Thanks for tuning into District Command Central. Make sure to subscribe and follow us for all the Commanders news you need. Until next time, keep the faith and hail to the Commanders.